The storm had broken the valley into fragments. Branches lay twisted in the mud, and the swollen creek tore at its banks as if it meant to unmake the land. Amid the ruin lay a foal, its small body sunk half in the muck, sides heaving in shallow, ragged rhythm. Its coat, once a promise of freedom sheen, was caked with filth and rain. Every attempt to rise sent its spindly legs trembling, collapsing beneath weight they could no longer bear. Lightning split the sky, and for an instant the world flared bright enough to show its wide, glazed eyes, two fading lanterns refusing to go out. From the tree line came another shape, slow and deliberate. An old wolf, scarred along his muzzle and lean to the bone, limped into the clearing. His fur, silvered and patchy, clung wet to ribs that showed beneath. Age had dimmed the fire in his gaze, leaving only a milky haze and the weary gravity of years. Hunger pressed him forward, but his gait lacked urgency, as though even need had grown tired. He stopped several paces from the foal, shoulders lowering against the rain. Predator and prey, bound in silence, with only the storm to bear witness. The foal shuddered. It made no sound, no struggle to flee. Exhaustion had stolen the instincts of flight. Its ears flicked weakly, sensing the danger it could not escape. In the wolf's throat, a low rumble threatened but faded unfinished. He stood over the dying creature, not striking, not sparing, as if some invisible tether held his jaws shut. Drops of water slid from his muzzle to the foal's neck. The foal's breath hitched, then steadied with the rhythm of the wolf's own. Minutes stretched long, blurred by wind and rain. The wolf lowered himself to the ground, joints creaking with effort. His flank pressed near but not against the foal. He breathed deep, nostrils flaring with the scent of life struggling to remain. What should have been an ending trembled into something unresolved. The foal's eyes fluttered, uncertain whether to close forever or stay open to the mystery beside it. A branch snapped in the distance, carried sharp through the storm. The wolf's ears lifted, alert despite weariness. He gave a single glance toward the dark ridge, then back to the foal. His body remained where it had chosen, planted against whatever might come. The foal's trembling eased for the first time since the storm began. It laid its head against the sodden earth, breath and heartbeat weak, but aligned with the old guardian at its side. Above them, thunder rolled like a drumbeat calling something greater awake. In the ruined valley, where all signs pointed to death, the storm held its breath. The wolf raised his muzzle and let the rain wash over scar and fur, silent waiting. And in that waiting, a fragile miracle stirred. Dawn crept through a veil of mist, laying pale light across the valley's wounds. The storm had passed, leaving behind silence so profound it seemed every living thing was holding its breath. In the clearing, the foal stirred, its sides twitching as though memory alone urged lungs to draw air. Mud clung to its legs, stiffened now into a crust that felt heavier than bone. Its eyes blinked open, glassy but alive, catching the faint glow of morning. A soft groan left its throat, the sound fragile yet insistent, proof that the will to rise had not yet been extinguished. The wolf lay near, body curled against the cold earth, ears flicking with each subtle shift of the foal. He too had endured the long night, unmoving except for the steady pull of breath. When the foal pushed its knees beneath it and quivered, the wolf rose slowly, shaking dew from his coat. He did not lunge nor bare teeth. Instead, he stepped forward, shoulder brushing close, as if anchoring the frail creature against collapse. The foal faltered, legs buckling. The wolf pressed gently with his muzzle, steadying. It was not strength that passed between them, but the simple refusal to let another fall. Together they moved toward a strip of grass glistening with rain. Each step was a battle. The foal stumbling, the wolf limping, both bound by weakness. Yet the valley seemed altered by their struggle, softened in its hostility. Birds broke into tentative song from branches bent low. Water trickled through stones, its murmur filling the space between their breaths. Life, faint but stubborn, echoed everywhere, as though answering their persistence. The foal lowered its head to the grass, lips trembling against dew-heavy blades. It chewed slowly, eyes half-lidded with exhaustion, but the act itself carried defiance. The wolf circled once, scanning the distance. His ears caught the distant yip of coyotes, their voices sharp and eager, drifting across the valley. Hunger belonged to more than him. Danger did not vanish with the storm. He returned to the foal's side, sinking down to guard with body and gaze. Hours slipped into a rhythm, the foal rising, faltering, then pressing forward again under the wolf's watchful eye. Each success was measured not in strides, but in the refusal to surrender. The foal took 3 steady steps before collapsing, legs folding like brittle twigs. Its chest heaved, sweat darkening its coat, but when it looked toward the wolf, something quiet flickered in its gaze. Recognition, perhaps, or a fragile trust that went against the order of nature. From the ridge, the coyote's cries grew louder, closer, weaving menace into the soft morning air. The wolf's hackles bristled, his breath turning sharp. He stood once more, weary frame taut with resolve. The foal, though trembling, tried to follow. Together, predator and prey faced the horizon, where threat gathered like another storm. The cries of the coyotes thinned the morning calm. Sharp notes carried down into the hollow where the wolf and foal lingered. The old guardian stood rigid, fur lifted along his spine. Each breath pulled in ragged but steady measure. His eyes, clouded yet unyielding, fixed on the rise beyond the trees. The foal trembled behind him, ears twitching with every sound, legs quaking as though they might collapse beneath the weight of fear. Its body still carried weakness, but something deeper than instinct urged it to remain near the creature who had not abandoned it in the night. From the ridgeline emerged shadows, not of coyotes alone but of men. Their voices broke the silence, harsh, laughing, dismissive, as they descended with rifles slung across shoulders and ropes coiled at their sides. Hunters, drawn by rumor of a wild foal separated from its herd, saw profit in its frailty. They paused at the edge of the clearing, eyes narrowing at the sight before them. An animal too weak to fight, guarded by a wolf too old to kill. To them it looked like opportunity, not miracle. The wolf lowered his head, teeth bared in a snarl that carried the memory of younger years. His growl rumbled through the wet ground, more defiant than threatening, but the men only smirked. One raised his rifle, not yet to fire, but to remind the valley who claimed dominion here. The foal staggered backward, hooves sinking into the softened earth. Its sides heaved, eyes darting between the weapons and the wolf, torn between terror and trust. The first shot cracked into the air, loud enough to rattle the trees. Birds exploded upward in a flurry of wings, but the bullet lodged harmlessly in bark, meant only to startle. The foal screamed, legs tangling, body crashing to the ground. Before the men could advance, the wolf lunged forward, a blur of weathered muscle and fury. He struck the earth with a force that belied his age, forcing the hunters to halt, their laughter silenced. His growl swelled into a howl, long and mournful, echoing against the ridges until the valley itself seemed to tremble with it. The hunters cursed, tightening their grips. One stepped forward, rope swinging, confident the old beast was bluffing. Yet the wolf did not retreat. He paced in front of the foal, shoulders hunched, tail stiff, body etched with scars of battles long past. His howl had awakened more than courage. It had stirred memory in the wild around them. The coyotes fell silent, their chorus broken, as if uncertain whether to join or scatter. The foal, still on its knees, lifted its head toward the sound. Something lit behind its eyes. Not the dull glaze of weakness, but a fragile spark answering the wolf's defiance. Its legs pressed against the mud, trembling but insistent, straining to rise even as the hunters drew nearer. The standoff deepened, predator and prey bound together, the valley holding its breath for what would come next. Moonlight spilled across the clearing, turning the mud to silver and painting the hunters' faces in sharp relief. They circled with deliberate steps, ropes uncoiling like serpents in their hands. The foal, still trembling, managed to stand, though its legs wavered under the weight of exhaustion. Beside it, the wolf held his ground, chest heaving, eyes fixed on the threat. His body was lean, his fur ragged, yet in that moment he seemed to grow, his stance widening as though the years had fallen away. One hunter raised his rifle again, impatience burning in his voice. "It's just a crippled colt, and one half-dead wolf. Let's finish this." He steadied his aim, but before he could fire, the valley answered with a sound more ancient than gunpowder, the thunder of hooves. From the misted ridge poured a herd of Mustangs, their bodies sleek and strong, their manes whipping like banners in the wind. They came not as scattered wanderers but as a tide, moving with a unity that shattered the hunter's confidence. The ground shook with their arrival, each stride a declaration that the valley belonged not to men but to the wild. At their head charged a powerful mare, her coat glistening like burnished bronze. The hunters faltered, steps retreating as the herd closed in. Ropes dropped into the mud, rifles lowered in panic. The mare broke from the others, sweeping toward the foal. She halted, nostrils flaring, breath steaming in the cold night. With a sharp nudge, she pressed her muzzle against the foal's neck. The foal staggered, but did not fall. Recognition sparked. Bloodline and belonging, the bond of herd rekindled. Another mare stepped forward, brushing her nose along the foal's side, steadying it as if welcoming home what had once been lost. The wolf backed away slowly, his part finished. He limped to the edge of the clearing, each step heavy yet certain. His eyes lingered on the foal now surrounded by kin, lifted from despair by the strength of its herd. For the first time, the foal's gaze left the hunters and turned fully to the wolf. It lowered its head in a gesture so subtle it could have been missed, gratitude etched in a language older than words. The hunters, outnumbered and outmatched, retreated into the darkness, their voices swallowed by the night. Silence returned, broken only by the steady rhythm of hooves shifting in the grass. The foal pressed against the mare's side, steadier now. Yet before following the herd it glanced once more toward the edge of the clearing. There, the wolf paused, lifting his muzzle to the sky. His final howl rang clear, not of hunger nor of rage, but of triumph, an anthem to survival and mercy. Dawn spilled over the valley, painting gold across the hills. The herd vanished into the mist, carrying the foal with them. Alone again, the old wolf lowered his head, eyes soft, and turned back into the forest. Nature had witnessed a miracle, and for one fleeting night, predator and prey had rewritten its law.